we did mention, was the Null Stone up on Tempest? We weren't quite sure, but yes, it was up. So there was nothing really that Beak could do there. So
I mean, Game 2 has started, by the way, so let's go ahead and look to focus on that first. So let's jump into Game 2 now. Trademark Esports versus Complexity. Trademark is on the Legion side, and Complexity on the Hellborn side. But going off what you were saying right there, but something I meant to bring up, but again, action kept happening actually at the end there, so it was kind of hard to obviously look at those fine things, and then, but he went the Null Stone. He went Null Stone before he eventually finished off a Shrunken Head. I don't even know if he ended up getting the Shrunken Head. I honestly forget that, but I know he got it for a fact before the Shrunken Head. What do you think of that choice?
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised that he didn't go Shrunken Head, but I think either way he's going to have to go Null Stone, because I think his bigger idea is that, you know, it's going to get canceled whether he has the Shrunken Head or not, because Plague Rider can cancel it. You mentioned yesterday as well that the Skeleton Kings are able to cancel it, so you're going to need that Null Stone really to cancel it. I think it's a fine pickup, actually, and it obviously worked out right there for him.
Yeah, in the end, it definitely worked out. Granted, a Shrunken Head would have done the same thing against Hammerstone, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it worked out in the end, to say the least. And Trademark Esports, man, but man, Noob G was just off the wall that game, too. His Dark Lady performance was very, very well played. So, again, this is a new territory here for Complexity as far as this tournament goes, at least. I mean, again, they lost their first game, especially being down 1-0. How are they going to respond? Well, the banning phase, of course, or the blind ban taking place. You had Ophelia Tundra from Trademark, and then Jerizai Tempest, actually, from Complexity. So they were not a fan of facing My Nuts playing that Tempest. So want to go ahead and throw that blind ban out. Now the locking phase, you had Pebbles first lock by tdM, followed by Moraxis Bubbles from Complexity, and then Fade Blacksmith actually coming out from Trademark Esports. So they do lock that Fade there, and then Geomancer even locked by Complexity. And we've talked about this before. B-Kid actually does love to play Geomancer, so it wouldn't surprise me, but that is a strong lock pool other than him, of course. So
yeah, very strong lock pool. And again, tdM is able to actually lock Fade. I know Minuts just loves Fade. He loves playing that hero, and I don't blame him. I think the hero is very, very strong. Provides a lot of map control, similar to an M4, where it's just very, very scary for the enemy team to farm comfortably, as well as it really hinders the farm on support heroes that constantly have to buy wards. And yes, I know what you're talking about. That banning phase happened just instantly. Draconis, Parasite, Silhouette, Nymph4, Magebane, Dark Lady, all of those hard carries are now...
Well, look what that's all it's kind of laughing at, too. Trademark banned Draconis, Silhouette, and Magebane, and then Complexity was like, okay, well, we're not going to let you have Dark Lady. We're just going to go ahead and ban her as well. So
yeah,
that kind of works off that strategy. Well, if we can't have any of those carries, neither are you, as we kind of talked about last game. So that actually goes back to remember how Complexity, they passed up on... first picking that Dark Lady, as we were talking about in that pick phase.
Right.
How the other three were banned, so they had a chance to pick Dark Lady, but they went with Glacius instead. So again, it's hindsight's 2020, as I always like to say. I mean, if you look all the way back there, but it's a fair point to bring up once again. But Luna first picked by Trademark Esports, and sure enough, Complexity follows up with a Glacius Polywog Priest here, actually.
Yeah, Glacius Polywog. I like Polywog a lot. I've mentioned that before, but we kind of saw... some games in between where Polywog hasn't seen that much play, but I really, really love the hero. The wards are so strong. Again, it's another one of those kind of level 6 heroes where you don't need that much farm to be effective with all her spells. Now, she is quite cost effective, or she does use mana very, very frequently, so I do like seeing a Ring of Sorcery on her, but Polywog's amazing. I think it really works well with some sort of tanky hero in the front, just hitting a tower, something like a Moraxis. So I could definitely see Complexity picking up Moraxis. Now, tdM has picked up Armadon and Andromeda. So very interesting. And then Warby's now picked up by Complexity.
So, this goes once again, though, to Complexity. They're almost, you can say they're being taken out of that quote-unquote comfort zone. They're not going to get that Dark Lady, that Silhouette, that Magebane. They do have a Warbeast, which by all means can get to some strong carry potential, but, it may take away a little bit from their lane stretching. And there you see right there, actually, that was very interesting what happened right there. The first lock pick was actually Bubbles by Trademark Esports, and Complexity snap picks Pebbles and Moraxis, actually. So... They definitely got two very strong heroes right there. Now back to Trademark Esports. They could run that Fade. They do love to run Fade, but it's going to be interesting to see how they finish off now. But yeah, Complexity, we are going to see once again Complexity taken out of that comfort zone here.
Yeah, now I think the reason behind that is if you take Bubbles, there really is no great candidate for a suicide hero.
Huh.
And actually, if I did want to say there's a good candidate in that lob pool, I would say it's actually Geomancer. I think that actually that hero could be used as a good suicide hero, but nonetheless, they're not going to pick him. So what I think is actually going to happen I think we might see a Suicide Miraxis because Complexity cannot safely run a dual lane long lane. That Warbeast will not be able to offer anything, so they have to go either short lane or mid with the dual lane Pebbles. They might even just solo Pebbles and go Miraxis, and well, no, they can't do that. They have a Poly. So that's the problem is when you come into a situation like that, you gotta have to pick and choose. And I really think we're gonna see a Suicide Miraxis, Poly mid, Pebbles and Glacius top. But if tdM is smart about this, they can easily combat that with 3 heroes because Warbeast is a more passive jungler.
Yeah, you can almost say that was more of a hate draft coming out right there.
Yeah.
From Limp, as the Magic the Gathering community would say, showing my nerd side there. Yeah, so definitely a solid pick. When you put it out that way, and like I said, they finish off with Fade, and as we continue to talk about, my nuts over there on Fade, he just loves to play Fade, and sure enough, gets to play him here with that final lock pick. So. All 5 are actually going to the top lane right off the bat. Obviously, we're going to pause here to start things off, but all 5 quickly buying their items and already heading towards that top lane as soon as the game started. Now, you see Moraxis, he too is already headed to the bottom lane, no boots or anything, but he is not going to go up against anyone apparently, so he should be able to get that water side down just fine. But yeah, it is going to be a Suicide Moraxis played by Moon Meander here. It is going to be interesting to see how Trademark Esports decides to actually lane this. So if you're Trademark Esports, do you want to run the aggressive tri-lane up top?
Yes, well, up top, basically you want to put aggression wherever that Pebbles is. If he's mid, you want to go mid. If he's top, you want to go top. Because that is really the one thing that Complexity has going for them. You do have a Suicide Miraxis who will probably get pit up against another solo hero. Probably Bubbles, I want to say. That's my guess. He does have that Guardian ring, so that suggests normally that he's going to be in that solo lane role. Normally you don't see mid players get a Guardian ring. I actually think it's quite good, but we don't see it. So we'll probably see him go against that Miraxis. That's a quite even lane. In fact, Miraxis should be doing just fine down there, unless Limp is able to play very, very aggressively.
Yeah, Limp, as you mentioned, with that Guardian ring, so into the eventual Ring of the Teacher. But so we'll see where they ultimately go. It looks like both teams are ready now, and Complexity is good to go. Oh, Moon Meander. Always love his comments. Won't touch on that, though. Anyways, as far as this game, though, so as all 5 are going to the top lane here, as you can see, again, from Trademark Esports. Complexity, on the other hand, they are sending Glacius and Pebbles up here. You do got Polywire Priest going mid, and Warbeast, he's going to sit back, but he is going to scout with the Hellhound here. So obviously, they'll know that this is going to be coming, and I'm sure Glacius and Pebbles will fall back as soon as possible. They do not want to run into this. You see Glacius actually apparently, I guess, he's going to place that ward aside here. To give some vision, but the Hellhound is going to spot them, and tdM, they're actually, this is kind of interesting here. They're not rushing it. It's almost as if they're going to be going around. You see Armadon even throwing his hatchet at the Hellhound, saying, "Get away, dog." But it's just, of course, going to hold its ground. But yeah, they're going to go towards the top rune area, maybe try to catch somebody over here. But again, this ward aside was just placed by Complexity, so they're not going to be able to catch anybody. They shouldn't be able to, at least. So it's just a matter of getting the ward down by Andromeda there, and they'll be fine. So,
well, actually, they don't even have any wards, do they?
Andromeda does.
Does she? Oh, she does.
Yeah.
Okay, I must have clicked on the wrong hero.
That would be weird.
Yeah, I must have clicked on the wrong hero. She does have both those wards. Now, the early ward is like coming out from Franzi, so they have clear vision, obviously, of what's going on. Not like it's, takes a rocket scientist to realize that they're going to be warding your pole.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen. Now, the thing is, here from Complexity, I would rather them actually throw Pebbles Glacius mid and a Polywog top. And that's the problem with this draft, because in general, I actually don't like their draft that much, because right now, basically, they have a Suicide Pebbles. And actually, Warbeast is going to go into the other jungle. So maybe Bubbles will spot this on his way there. Warbeast doing some pulling of the creeps with his Hellhounds down here. And so Bubbles is going to have a hard time getting some CS down here against this Miraxis. But it's going to be 3 against 1 here in against this Pebbles. That's smart, generally, if you're Complexity. They're going to have this Glacius come down here bottom, so it is going to be essentially a Suicide Bubbles and then a Suicide Pebbles. So I still think that tdM has the better end. If they're able to completely shut down this Pebbles, that's the smart thing, because that's where really the most important hero is.
Yeah, that's definitely the danger zone here, and you would hope with this matchup, at least, that Trademark Esports is definitely able to shut him down. So, really, it's going to come down to a case of a farmed Moraxis versus a farmed Armadon, actually. Again, Noob G, he is playing the Armadon role this time around, and it's been a while since we've actually seen more of a carry style of Armadon played here on the competitive scene, especially in this tournament, but definitely can be very, very powerful with that said. And you see right here, yeah, Bubble's actually sniping out some of the Warbeast jungle here. So Limp, he's getting some nice farm as a result of this and keeping the harassment up on Warbeast.
Yeah, he got, I believe, 2 of the creeps of the Vagabonds as well as both wolves.
Yeah.
Or maybe, no, 1 creep and then both wolves. So that's a good boost in gold, actually. More importantly, they understand and know where this Warbeast is, and they can play accordingly. So Andromeda, is that Andromeda? Yeah, she's actually roaming around, maybe just waiting for this rune for another 20 seconds. I'm not quite sure. But some roaming already coming around. They realize that Armadon doesn't really need that much help against this Pebbles. I really still think they should have 1 hero up here guarding and making it even, just more difficult for Pebbles in general. So hopefully Andromeda's up there. I think they need to be in this lane. Now Andromeda is camping this top rune, but these supports definitely need experience. And if they keep roaming around like this, it's going to hinder their experience quite a lot.
Well, and you also see what B-Kid's doing. He's, obviously with the Ward of Sight, he's very aware that they're not here. And he's actually pushing up. He even threw stalagmites on Armadon and harassed him quite a bit. And he's actually got an okay creep. I mean, he's 5-0 to start the he's already hit level 3. He's going to be 6-0. Oh, nope, it's nice. Not able to get the last one, but even throwing a deny out there. So, yeah, Pebbles actually is off to a pretty good start here because of both Andromeda and Aluna running around. Now, Aluna, she is now here in the bottom lane. She just placed a Ward of Sight being played by Pablo McDad there at the bottom rune spot, so also spot that jungle. But now Warbeast has gone back to the Hellborn jungle, as has Glacius roamed up here as well. So a lot of movement here early on in this game.
Yeah, tons of movement, and the movement ultimately does hinder Warbeast's farm. Now, he does hit just level 2. He had a bit of problems here in the jungle early on between getting early wolves, and Catman was in the hard camp, and then on top of that, Bubbles was able to snipe out some creeps and find him. So that really sucks for Warbeast. Now, Glacius is able to assist. That Ice Imprisonment is very, very good for neutral creeps because it lasts much, much longer. So that's good for him. Bubbles down here. Let's check out his farm. He's applying a little bit of pressure with that Shell Surf there to Meraxis. His creep farm is about 7-0. Meraxis at 13-12. So Meraxis is doing very, very well down here. But ultimately, I don't agree with Aluna coming to the mid until they've destroyed this top lane, really, and they haven't done that. Pebbles is able to get a decent amount of farm and experience, and Glacius is walking back up there, and now they're looking at a 2v2 situation.
Yeah.
So if Andromeda plays up and gets caught in a stun, you could expect, like, Beacon's, that's what he's looking at right now. He's trying to catch her in a stun. And actually taking a little bit of harass there from Armadon, going for the early Ghost Marchers. That's really Noob G's trademark, by the way. If you ever watch him, he gets Ghost Marchers on every single hero. It's really kind of funny. But actually, even Warbeast here with the Wolves, they want to get something down on this Andromeda, but Vane's playing very, very smart, keeping his distance.
Yeah, as he should be. I mean, I believe he did use Aurora eventually, and he did spot Glacius, so definitely knows that he's over there. You talked about the Hellhounds from Chessie coming on, trying to do a little bit of harassment themselves, but in the end, not going to be able to get any kills. But this is the Glacius-Pebbles combination that we talk about from time to time, and it is very deadly. And you mentioned, I mean, B-Kid, he's already level 4. He's actually, his experience per minute, he's up there with the best of the best in this game right now. Now, Warbeast did just port back in. Not going to obviously set up any ganks, but he's going to go back to farming, or at least attempt to, as you see Armadon and Andromeda down here doing some farm. Now, I will say, having Andromeda especially paired up with this Armada, not necessarily in the early game, but throughout the mid to late game stage, that'll be a very powerful combination. That Aurora will really buff up Armadon as far as the quill damage.
Yeah.
Of course, those are physical, and the minus armor that comes out from the Aurora will make them that much more powerful. So that's something to look out for if you're complexity as far as having to deal against. But the middle lane, now, Polywalk Priest Haxerin, he actually took a little bit of pressure himself here in the middle lane, but, of course, able to stay alive. So we're now 5 minutes in, and still no Bloodless kill happening, but Fade being played by my nuts. He seems like he's 21-6 against the 17-4 Polywalk Priest. And you see right here, going in once again, not even going to use the coL, actually, but just harassing Polywalk Priest yet again.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what was the point of Aluna coming to this mid lane, because if it was to shut down the Poly, that's one thing, but they didn't do that. Poly's still got a decent amount of farm, 17-4. Now, it's not optimal, but considering that she's taken pressure from a 2v1 lane and Fade Aluna for quite some time, that was really not a successful gank or successful support coming out from Aluna. I think they really should have stayed top and just completely denied Pebbles so much farm at the beginning and then look to move around after maybe they got a kill or something like that. So it's very, very early on. It's too early to tell kind of who's winning right now. It's quite even. It is, if you look at the numbers, it's actually favoring the complexity side because they do have a jungler in Warbeast who's he's made a decent recovery right now. He's not going to have as early of a Abyssal Skull as he wants, but that's simply because he's had to roam around a bit. So and he keeps dealing with these Catmen, it looks like, so he's going to go look for antler kills as he goes back to base. He summons the walls, goes back to base to get some more mana. I don't know if I really agree with that because he's going to get some natural mana regen, and the wolves only cost 125 mana, but maybe he wants to have that mana pool to be ready once he hits level 6 so that he can gank.
Yeah, we definitely have seen that. That's what you talk about. As soon as you hit level 6 on Warbase, that's what you got to do really to be successful with them. Set up that gank right away. Kind of like your Keeper of the Forest and in that jungle. You know, you come out with the Invis root, and all of a sudden you pick up a Bloodlust kill and start the game off strong in that way. So that's possibly what Chelsea's looking for here. He is still level 5 though, but you know, Pebbles, he's starting to feel his harassment a little bit more. Obviously both Andromeda and Aluna have been up here for a little bit now, so it's almost as if they got the message finally of really just trying to lock down this Pebbles, and it's working out now. Now Fade jumps here in the middle lane on a Polywog Priest. There's a follow-up from Bubbles. That kill field coming out. Now the wards are going to be placed for Polywog, but Bloodlust kill will come out in favor of the Legion team. You see the illusions used right there, but a double tap for Chessie. In the end, coming out, Warbeast with the Wolves being there actually turns that around and makes it a 2-for-1 exchange. So Bloodlust kill for the Legion side, but good turnaround there from Complexity, actually.
I think it's actually amazing that it came out for Chessie.
Yeah.
That's going to actually really help his farm because he's able to purchase an Abyssal Skull very quickly. Now, this is something that Chessie does, actually. He buys boots all the time before he does finish that Abyssal Skull. Now, boots are good because it helps you move around from camp to camp much quicker. So it does increase your farm, but you don't farm as quickly. Like, you don't kill things as quickly. Your wolves are very, very, they die quite quickly. Actually, I think sometimes he even builds his steam boots before his Abyssal Skull. Now, we'll see here as the courier does walk back to base, but just something to note. Very interesting.
Well, yeah, and obviously the other thing on top of this, Warbeast with his ultimate, he's haste speed no matter what. So, you know, having those boots literally does nothing for him. At least, especially if they're just little red boots, as we call them, in that ultimate form. Now, granted, of course, that's only a certain amount of time. Now, he does get the ultimate form right here, as he just hit level 6, so still waiting to see if anything on the courier, but they are going to go to the middle lane, and here comes the ulti for Warbeast. A lockdown on a Fade, trying to get away, does not have her ultimate to get away. Even if she did, there was a Ward of Revelation down, so it's probably for the better, but a nice kill yet again coming out from Complexity, and this is just, again, you can tell the communication is definitely there from Complexity, and it's working out very well here, especially in this middle lane right now.
Yeah, Chessie just plays a very, very active Warbeast, and that's exactly how you have to play him, especially right when you hit that level 6. Even before then, I mean, obviously, he got the double tap first blood with his wolves, him not even being anywhere near. So it just shows you just how active and how in this game he is. It's just really fun to watch him. There's possible gank attempt happening on the bottom. Invis Polywog Priest, he does start up with a Jolt. Chainsaw Massacre coming out, and Bubbles will die so fast. So good roam from Haxton right there. But at the same time, you got to question, there are no wards on the map scouting any kind of rune vision coming out for tdM. So,
oh, top lane going for a kill on a Pebbles, though. Can he try to turn this around? No, he cannot. Couldn't even get off the chuck. And down he goes. So at least for Trademark Esports, now despite what's been happening in the middle and out the bottom lane, this top lane is doing very well now. Not only B-Kid is getting locked down, only 126 gold per minute. You have an Armadon that all of a sudden is 360 gold per minute and leading this game in GPM by a fair amount. Now, more axes actually being played by Meander, of course, with that kill at the bottom lane. Definitely helping out his side, but Armadon is a very scary hero with early farm because he'll get that early Helm of the Black Legion, perhaps an early Shaman's Headdress, and he becomes so hard to kill, especially with his back turn with that Armadillo ability. So that's going to be very difficult for Complexity to deal with, you would think. But for the most part, they have been playing this very sound, and overall, they do have their advantages. Now, you see at this top lane, some possible initiation going to be taking place. Glacius Pebbles up here. You got a Warbeast that does have his ultimate ready to go. So we'll see if they're able to find a timing. Now, there is a ward aside here that was placed by Fane, actually. So the Legion team should be very aware if any ganks are going to be incoming. Fane now running up. She doesn't have her ulti form just yet. So both teams a little bit timid, but you just kind of feel something's going to happen at this top lane.
Yeah, I really don't think they did enough in this top lane. Like, despite the fact that Armadon's getting a lot of good farm, he is quite farmed. He's still in the highest in the game, though, as you mentioned. Moonman are doing a really, really good job down there, getting lots of free farm. Actually, Bubble's not even there. He's ported, or he's gone to the mid lane. But I just think they could have done more to prevent any kind of anything happening for this Pebbles. He got way too much experience. Now, yes, he has no farm, but that doesn't. He will bounce back once he gets a portal key, and that'll be fine. but he cannot have these levels. That's simply just bad. And actually, even if you look at Glacius, Glacius is level 7 as well. So Franzi doing a great job right there. He's actually level 7 and doesn't even have boots. That's a really interesting fact. But yeah, I just really think that Aluna should have stayed up here, as well as the Andromeda, and just completely denied Pebbles any kind of experience, any kind of experience leeching up here in the top lane.
Yeah, like I said, it's almost as if they got the message later on in the game, but you could say that maybe it was a little bit too late as far as that's concerned. I mean, you got your Polywog Priest, who not only did well against the 2v1, but Haxrin overall, having a pretty solid game. Sure, that death, but he has the 4 assists, which all 4 kills. Again, being assisted in all 4 of them, very, very good news for a Hellborn team. And Moraxis is actually 150 gold basically away from a portal key. And this is what we always talk about, that surprise portal key, and we constantly see it, especially for complexity. And I'm sure we'll see it here from Moonmeander on Moraxis. As soon as he gets it, maybe port to the top lane or something like that. Try to set look at this! Pebbles kicks Armadon back to the tower. He tries to stalagmite stun him, but he misses big time. And Armadon will be fine, but that was a very interesting attempt right there from B-Kid. You mentioned this before. I mean, he's one of those Pebbles players that just loves to use that chuck, more so than just comboing with the stalagmites. He loves to use the poor man's portal key, as we call it, or as we saw right there, trying to get the people in position to eventually get them killed.
Yeah, he really likes comboing with a toss into one area and then stunning that area. Not to say that he doesn't combo when it's necessary, but yeah, it's very fun to watch him actually play Pebbles. I didn't see that exchange right there, and actually he might get gone on here. No, Noobg is actually just applying a lot of pressure. He does have that Helm of the Black Legion completed. He did go Ghost Marchers first, as I mentioned before. Kind of an interesting progression of items right there. Normally we see the Helm of the Black Legion. Actually, Glacius right here, he places a ward. I don't know if they actually saw him. They might not have, because he was on the lower ground there. I don't know. I don't think they saw that, though. But either way, he gets the ward out. Aluna backed off immediately. And still, they do actually, okay, I was going to say, where is their ward? But they do have a ward here bottom, placed by Fane, and it does see the rune there. So that's good. But other than that, their warding is not that optimal right now.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see if the courier gets a revelation on it and delivered up here, but ain't happening yet, at least. So maybe Glacius was just hitting enough to not be spot. So that's definitely good news here. Now at the bottom lane, we do see a lot of diving happening. The tower's low, as actually already 1 kill happening to War Beast, but there goes the kill into Pebbles as Pebbles ports in, puts the combo off. Fade trying to port away in time. He will be fine. So it ends up being a 1-for-1, and the tower is also going to get denied actually from complexity. Unfortunately, I got the tail end of that. I don't know if you were seeing the beginning of that, Trout.
Yeah, I saw it, and they did both dive on. Mynuts went as early as he could. He came out of the trees from the right with his ult. He did not choose to burst out of his ult, smartly so, because he wouldn't got him. And Bubbles able to barely catch Warbeast with that kelp field. And while they were able to get the good kill on him, he did fall and they did deny the tower. So that's, I talked about that before, is actually Bubbles is very, very good against Warbeast. And we saw right there.
Yeah, and now the middle tower push, however, coming up from Complexity. Quite an aggressive one at that. Now they are going to fall back a little bit, and vulnerability is used. You can see the Legion team has several players here. Fade does not have his ultimate just ready just yet in that reflection. In fact, she's going to get jumped. A nice wall from Andromeda right away, though. Here we go. In comes Bubbles. No kill field going to be used, though, as it's still on cooldown. Armadon trying to chase Burning Shadows. Great job landing on Moraxis right there. And despite the Matrix, he will fall. And they turn it around, and now they're going to deny their middle tower. So that was very well played there from Trademark Esports. Excellent response. And again, it kind of makes up for what happened at the bottom lane even.
Just fantastic swap by Fane. That was just right on the money. So ready to do that. And it was just perfectly played by him specifically. Really, really good job. And that's why sometimes when you see numbers like here, like, wow, he's only 0-1 and 0, it doesn't really give you a clear, accurate picture of how well they've been playing or how active in this game they played. Actually, Fade gets a very, very good Burning Shadows on those Pebbles, but he gets comboed down right away. So much damage coming out from that combo, as well as the kill actually going out for Franzi.
Oh, but we got Warbeast trying to get a nice red stuff from Aluna, though. Kelp's going to be used. Pebbles will fall as Bubbles up there to luck at Armadon, just spamming that W button with the Quails. Polywog Priest locking him down, but that's just going to delay the inevitable right now. You got to figure one more Quill, maybe get the go. No, yes, and the back attack gets the kill. In comes Andromeda. Did not have the swap just yet, but she perhaps suicided herself. Despite not having the swap, she's going to swap Glacius, trying to make a nifty move right here. Oh, the Courier dies right here. Though I'm checking to see if anything was on. It doesn't look like there anything was, but that was a Hellborn Courier. Now, Andromeda does fall as Fade is running back in. Oh, she wants a kill out of this. It doesn't look like she's going to get it, though. Warbeast, unless she catches Warbeast over here. This could actually be really close. Oh, if he goes for Ancients, he's dead. Yep, Chessie is dead. I love you, Chessie, but you're going to get killed by my nuts right here. There we go. Gets the kill, and Fade will run away. So, interesting fight, though, with the way it ended, especially.
Yeah, I got to say, I mean, Haxrin, he's a great player, but one thing I do notice is, and I remember playing with him, too, He kills couriers more than anybody I know, and it's unfortunate. You got to expect too that. I mean, I don't know for sure if it was him, but he was the one that died, and it happened right around where he died. So, I'm just, I got the evidence there. I'm placing my case. Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I just know that he has a track record to kill couriers. But that's unfortunate. A good kill there by MyNuts there. I actually don't know if he ulted or had an invis, but either way, he did not pop out of his ultimate, or out of his invis, but nonetheless, still got a good kill. That would have been really, really unfortunate had the Ancients got it.
Now, granted, Fade did make a pretty... nice steal on the rune right there, actually. By Morax, still in the haste rune. Actually, Fade is in a lot of trouble now as a result. Burning Shadow Stun, going to be fine for now. In comes Bubbles. Killfield even going to be used. Oh, the final axe. Oh, she is going to be fine. She's just too far away. So Bubbles will make the save, and actually Morax is now in a little bit of trouble. The red stun from Maluna. Granted, he does have the haste rune, and I think that may be the saving grace. You see Burning Shadow Stun will hit, but yeah, oh, no, that's just going to even help him right there. That's Armor.
Oh my god!
Oh, the power to the final one, yes! Oh! The Bubbles attack somehow stays on Moon Meander. That was like a 5,000 range auto attack, and it somehow worked out. Well played, and they somehow take on Moraxis. That's a big deal, though, because Moraxis is now dead. He does not have buyback money. They're going to aggressively push his bottom tower. Wards are going to be used, though. Ports are coming in, and here we go. Polywar Priest in the background taking a lot of damage. Pebbles jumps in, but Armadon is so damn taming. There's a nice swap from Andromeda, saving Fate in the process. You have Warbeast in ulti form, but the snot is coming out, and Pebbles and Warbeast will be forced to fall back. This tower isn't going to fall. May not fall, but still, the damage definitely done by Trademark. Now, Noob G, you may want to be a little bit careful right here. He is going to hang in there, actually. Oh, God. You're just going to put in deny range. That's probably pretty silly of him.
Hopefully he can get this denied. There are 2 catapults. Oh, no, he misses it. He missed it. I think he actually attacked early.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. That's
Complexity. Complexity. Dare I say, they're down 1-0 in the series, and right now in Game 2, tdM is looking really good.
They're looking really good. I mean, I'm really impressed this game. I mean, last game I saw some interesting things, and maybe it just took them one game to warm up, but man, they are banging on all cylinders here. MyNuts is getting some fantastic burning shadows. We saw first that one on the haste rune, or sorry, on the haste Miraculous there in the bottom river, very perfectly placed.
Yeah.
Even though he was like 20 HP, still wanted to come back and man up, and he got a great burning shadow stun. And then right there, we saw a great line burning shadow stun on 2 in the background there. And then again, another great swap by Andromeda being played by Fane. Just absolutely amazing play coming out from tdM. Will it be enough, though? They are still actually trailing quite a bit in experience. They do have a gold lead, though.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Andromeda is such a fun support here to watch, specifically for that reason with the swap. I mean, it really makes for those, oh my god, moments. And he's already had a couple of them in this game. And, you know, with the way this game is going, well, I wouldn't be surprised if we have a good chunk of game left. So I'm sure more opportunities are going to rise. But Armadon, Helm of the Black Legion, Shaman's Headdress, he has a ringmail picked up. So very likely going to turn that into a Soul's Bulwark. And, I mean, you talk about just being a tank. I mean, look right here. He's just having his back turned to the Ancients. Like, come on, come at me, bro. And this is just what Armadon does, so he's going to spam them down, and his gold per minute now, 450 gold per minute just about here. And you look at the Hellborn team, Warbeast, he's been trying. Again, it's not necessarily been Chessie's fault, but he's been locked down quite a bit. I mean, he is farming now 300 gold per minute, but is it getting to a point where if you're Warbeast especially, and if you're Complexity, do you start thinking of almost going for more backdoor-style strategies here?
No, definitely not. It's way too early for that. They only have 1 tower kill, and the response would come out way too quickly. Especially, like I said, the kelp field from Bubbles is an extremely strong tool against Warbeast. Very, very strong. Until you get that shrunken head, there's really not much Warbeast can do. And even then, if you get a shrunken head, you got to deal with all that quill damage from Armadon, which is all physical. So it's gonna be a hard game for Warbeast. And I actually don't. Now it goes back to the drafting. I can't remember. Okay, so did tdM have first? Yes, tdM had first pick. Was Warbeast last picked?
Warbeast was...
Because it went... What did it go?
It was last picked, yes. It was a third pick of the regular pick phase.
Okay,
yes.
so that means they picked Warbeast into Armadon. So, see, now that's got a question. Is that really the smartest thing to do? I don't know. And also, Bubbles was in that lock pool, so you got, like I said... Actually, we didn't know for sure, but there's a very good chance that you're going to be playing against a Bubbles as well. So when you pick a hero like that against an Armadon for sure, and then possibly a Bubbles, it's a very, very hard game for Warbeast. I feel Chessie, but we'll see how they kind of respond to this.
Well, you see Fade right here. He does have his level 2 ultimate, so a little bit longer now. About 5 seconds left. Now, Portal Key has been picked up on Pebbles. He hasn't been able to use it yet, but he is showing himself. So, again, what we talk about, not going to really have that surprise factor anymore for him. Now, Fade is still here off to the side, so I wonder... Obviously, they don't have an M4 or anything, so really, it doesn't look like anything's going to be able to be set up. She's probably just going to wait for this an opening here and just eventually port out like she does right there. She's in fact going to port to the middle tower. It looks like she's got 20-second cooldown on a reflection ability, and then she'll look to make something happen once again. But you can tell Complexity is kind of getting into that turtle style of zone now. They're really trying to protect this War Beast and this Pebbles even, trying to get them farmed up and really have a chance, you know, holding their own in this game. Now, Chessie, it looked like he was going to the jungle by himself, but he's going to start falling back, actually. This was going to say, too, you know, when does Trademark Esports, or what does Trademark Esports do now? Do they group up and make some pushes, or do they still try to get some more farm on heroes like Armadon? They got the Soul's Bulwark now, and it looks like it is going to be a choice of grouping up and pushing here in their favor. So War Beast, I mean, he's got the minions here, going to try to harass a little bit, but this is going to be a quick tower kill unless Complexity stops it in the near future, and I don't know if they're even going to spend resources to do so. They are counter-pushing the bottom tower in the meantime, which they're going to get right here. But unless they port really right now, you got to think this is going to drop now. They might have invulnerability, but yeah, it's not even going to be worth it. The tower will fall. He's
I
going to deny.
I thought War Beast might be able to deny with the Hellhounds. I don't even know if he was close enough, but that would have been really funny. Yeah, things are looking really good now. I want to say that as far as late game goes, I feel like Legion has an edge. But honestly, War Beast very, very late game, especially with Miraxis, are so tanky. Then the Polywog wards. And actually, when I really look at it, the late game is quite even. So I feel like we're going to have a very fun game. We've got a lot more game left. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to be as passive as we've seen in the the series with Complexity before.
Well, we got 20 kills, only 22 minutes in. So this is definitely a much more aggressive series overall than, like you said, we've had out of Complexity specifically lately. But all outer towers are now destroyed, and again, we're only 22 minutes in favor of Trademark Esports. So obviously that helps giving them that 3,500 gold lead, but you look at the experience lead, and it actually is in favor of Complexity at about 3,300 themselves. So they do still have their positives, no doubt. Like we talked about, that portal key has been on Pebbles now for a little bit. Still, unfortunately for their sake, hasn't really been able to use it. But you know, you figure him on top of more access can get some great combinations off, and you have a War Beast, as you mentioned, Shrunken Head in the works. But still, also as you talked about, that Armadon, he don't give two shits about that Shrunken Head, as he is basically all physical, and he'll just still tear you up. So that's where you got to still be careful if you're War Beast, of course. Andromeda going to do some ancient stacking here. And that's the other thing we talked about. The Aurora is level 3 currently, soon to be level 4 as soon as she hits her next level. She maxed out the Comet Stun first. But that's going to be, what is that, minus 6 or minus 5 armor? Yeah, it's minus 5 armor that we're looking at, on top of minus % base damage, which honestly don't think about a lot of the time, but still powerful. But yeah, the minus armor is definitely a big part of it, and especially with this Armadon, that's going to even help right here. So seems like we're in a kind of a no farming phase, especially with all the outer towers dead in favor of the Legion team, so that kind of makes sense. But you know, now let's keep an eye out for when that mark is. All right, let's group up and make some pushes now if you're TDM.
Yeah, and I would expect a Bound Eye, or I hope a Bound Eye pickup would come out on Fade. We see that very frequently on Fades, especially after they're level 11. They're able to use that ultimate and scout out pretty much anywhere that wards happen to be with that clear vision. It's a very, very useful tool. He has a Neophytes book. Yeah. I think Minats actually usually likes to go the puzzle box route for a Fade. And that would definitely be very, very good against this team.
I was going to say, oh, actually, faking to get caught right here. Ran into a Water Revelation. Down he goes. That's a dangerous part. Armadon in a little bit of trouble. Glacial Downpour did a lot of damage, actually. And Armadon needed to fall back. Time's not going to be on Andromeda. Andromeda, can she swap out? Maybe can she swap out? No, it's probably not even worth it. That'd be pretty risky. So she dies as well. So great catch here from the Helmort team. Look at, there's that Chuck. We're talking about the poor man's portal key on a Polywog Priest right there. Sets up a kill onto a Luna. And just like that, double tap for Move Meander. 3 kills happening for Complexity. And they're going to go for Conqueror, it looks like. And this is definitely a prime time, and they're very likely going to get it. So talk about a swing of momentum in favor of Complexity right here.
Really fantastic play by, well, specifically Haxorin and B-Kid. Haxorin, they had a Ward of Sight, or sorry, a Ward of Revelation placed by Franzi. It's a good job for him. Scouting out the Fade. Fade came in, and he was hexed immediately by Haxorin. And then B-Kid followed up right after that. So really well played. Good reactions coming out from Complexity.
Yeah, that was, again, just a wrong spot, wrong time type deal for Fade right there. Now, you mentioned the Neophytes book. I was thinking even Codex as well, of course, especially with those Ghost Marchers. But she does end up going to Tablet of Command, actually, as her item choice here. So we'll see, how much use she's able to make of that. But Conger goes down, and the Token of Life was picked up by War Beast. Now, actually, I was wondering about that. Minus did buy back there, actually. Wait, or was that earlier? That must have been earlier. There's no way she had enough gold for all that, or did she? Did she really just buy back right there?
Unless she already had the... Well, I mean...
She might have already hit. You're right.
I was wondering why she didn't have more items on her, so maybe she just already had it completed in her stash.
Yeah.
And just bought back right there. I don't think I saw her buy back earlier.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. So, yeah, I don't know about that buyback choice if that was right there, because, yeah, that really didn't accomplish anything, but interesting. So, but she is down to buyback nonetheless, and obviously something to keep in mind here now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Usually when you have a buyback, you want to make something happen with it, but not able to do that. Yeah, the push book there, actually they have two of them now. One on Fade, one on Bubbles. Bubbles also has a portal key as well. Limp is doing a really good job this game. And it's a very, very strong tool against really their entire team. Every single one of those heroes the push book is good against. It disjoints a lot of damage coming out from Meraxis. Obviously the Polywog Ward Trap, you can get out of it with a push book. But, you know, you look at things from Warbeast. He does have a shrunken head. Now he's got a token. He's got his core items. I just can't believe that Noobg has as much farm as he does. He almost has a heart there, a behemoth's heart, and he's sitting at almost 500 gold per minute. They're taking the stat coming out in Complexity's jungle, but will this be good or not? I don't know if this is the right decision.
Oh, we see Pebbles was thinking about going in, but his portal key is canceled right there. Now Meraxis jumps in the background. The Armanot's being locked into the foreground. You see Warby, Shrunken Head, ultimate activated. He is chasing them down. Bobbles out a lot of trouble. Can he shelter away? Yes, he can. Into somewhat safety. The Ward's still taking him down, and Bobbles will eventually fall, but Armadon actually eventually going to fall, it looks like, as well. Fade finally comes back in. Burning Shadows onto Pebbles, but not nearly enough damage. Armadon being chased down by Warbies, especially those Hellhounds. He's going to keep spamming. Now Minus was able to pick up Pebbles there, actually. So that worked out fairly well in the end for Trademark Esports, especially with Armadon surviving there. So
Haxtron just bought out.
Okay, wow, yeah, Haxtron actually just buying out right there on Polywog Priest, so maybe he was expecting more of a chase right there, but unfortunately not happening. So honestly, that looked like it could have been really scary for Trademark, but really, that actually worked out fairly well.
I mean, Bubbles, I don't know if he did this intentionally, but he was getting gone on here there right about where the rune was in the river there, and he poured it up with the Shell Surf and actually hit two heroes and then placed his Kel Field. So I don't know if that's what he planned, but it was perfect. It was like a really well job done. He did end up falling to the wards that Polywog placed, but really good job there by Bubbles.
Yeah, that was definitely a good job done there by Bubbles. Yeah, so very, very well played again, whether or not it was on purpose or... Hey, you always like to get in the benefit of doubt, especially at this tier of level. So, Minus still on Fade. It looks like he's heading towards the top lane with the ulti form activated. He's going to try to maybe pick somebody off here. It would have to be Glacius, you would think, if any, but probably not going to go. Again, this is also just pretty useful for just scouting things out. Now, she hasn't gotten that Bound Die yet. I mean, she definitely has enough gold for it. And obviously, Fade is a premier hero choice to pick it up on, but... Still no Bound Die on Minus just yet, and he has about 6 seconds left on the Reflection. Going to come out right here and possibly farm up a little bit. But, yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that, on the Bound Die pickup to see if it eventually comes here. But Behemoth's Heart finished on Armadon. So, now, in that last fight, I mean, he was taking a lot of damage. Obviously, he survived through pretty much all of it. And now it's going to be that much more difficult. 2,300 life pool on top of an okay amount of armor. I mean, it's not like crazy amount of armor by any means, but... He is definitely tanky, that's for sure. So, yeah, Hellborn team has their work cut out for them in that sense.
If he manages to get a demonic breastplate here within the next, I don't know, 6 minutes or so, he's gonna be forced to be reckoned with. Let me tell you that.
Oh, big jump right here. Kelfield gonna come out from Bubbles, and Armadon standing in the foreground, just spamming that W. Out comes a swap though from Andromeda once again to Bubbles, trying to help save him. Armadon now in the foreground, gonna start spamming that W once some more. Moraxis taking the Snotstorm right there. Warbeast with that ulti form activated is able to tear through Fade though. So the Legion team not able to get the best initiation right there, and actually Armadon now may be in a little bit of trouble. Kamasun used there on a Warbeast. Again, the Quill's being spammed, the Aurora on top of that. Warbeast is going to start dropping pretty fast right here, and Warbeast will end up going down. But look at Pebbles jump in the background onto a Luna. Of course, Warbeast coming back up as a result of that token of life, but now Pebbles actually is going to end up falling right here unless he gets some mass support at the last second. That's not going to happen, though, and he eventually falls. So Warbeast, he has to play very safe here. Either going to get a Snot. Oh! Yes, the Snot will hit, and this is huge here for Trademark Esports. If they're able to take down Chessie, this could be a big game moment right now here. He does have buyback money even if he falls. Now Pebbles, speaking of buyback, Pebbles buybacks, Moraxis jumps in, and Warbeast turns that around. In comes Polywog Priest, down goes Andromeda right there, and now Armadon, the lonely target. Are we going to see that Quill spam come out? Is it going to be enough? No, it is not. He's trying to turn his back. Chase down Polywog. Oh, no, he cannot. Glacius, any Quills? No! No Quills are happening, and Armadon will fall. Great buybacks right there from Trademark Esports.
Yeah, I mean,
excuse me, Complexity.
he had no more mana, and if he had just a little bit more mana, I feel like he would have got a double tap on Glacius and Haxorin, or Glacius and Polywog.
Power throw.
And power throw coming out. Oh my God, Glacius lives with a sliver of health. Oh man, that was close.
Brutal.
Yeah, the buybacks is definitely making big plays right there. We just saw how tanky Armadon was, but he really does need a mana pool to keep spamming those quills like that. But really good job yet again by Feint. I just keep seeing some amazing swaps at him in general. I was kind of questioning Beacon jumping back in there to kill an Luna for himself, because it basically was a switch for his life. He is double Luna's level, so I don't really agree with that. But he did buy back and helped out with a very, very important kill onto Armadon.
Yeah, I mean, when that tablet happened on Armadon, he got the snot off on Warbeast. That was looking really bad for Complexity, but Warbeast did his juking in the trees. He stayed alive long enough, and again, obviously set up time for Complexity to get there, and especially with that buyback from Beacon. Obviously, Haxorin also got in the fight just in time, and, well, we saw the turnaround there. So Complexity definitely winning that fight, and the gold difference, it continues to stay fairly even, but the experience lead has been growing and growing here for Complexity. It's now actually a 10,000 experience lead, and that is quite a bit. Overall as a team, and you can see, overall, it's looking very good. Now, granted, you do have an Armadon and a Fade here on the Legion side that are both level 16, so they're up there, but it does start to fall off quite a bit here for Trademark Esports. So that could definitely hurt them as this game progresses. But again, Armadon actually picks up a Neophyte's book, so he ain't going for a Demonic Breastplate at least just yet. What is that going to be even? Is it going to be Gnome's Wisdom? I mean,
actually, that's what I thought it might be. I don't know. Maybe even just a push book himself.
Yeah.
Just to get away. I mean,
talk about mana.
Yeah, well, I know exactly. I also did want to give credit where credit was due. And Moonmander, I saw him that whole time that all that slow was happening on the Warbeast earlier, and just saw him waiting patiently for the right time to come in and get a good double stun, and he did. And that was a really, really huge turn and a good job by him. So I got to give credit there. But yeah, as far as Armadon here, what items he's going to go, I don't know. I guess another push book. Push book seems to be doing a lot of work this game, and maybe they're like, we need mass push books. I bet Aluna's going to go for one as well once she gets the gold.
Yeah.
And the Bound Eye is actually picked up. It's on her. She did buy it, so hopefully she does give it. Yeah, right there. She does give it to Fade. So, yeah, Fade will have that to work with. She will spot a ward right here, I think, as it is right in front of her. She wants to creep farm instead. But
this is just like the Bound Eye yesterday, how that just dropped on the ground and everyone just ran past it and someone picked it up and she doesn't. And the Caves can't even finish it because she walked away. There must have been a communication advance saying get to the middle lane, because here we go. Pebbles gets jumped on actually by Bubbles, but not able to lock him down. You see the hero blocking a little bit, chucks him away. This is get off me, bitch. And Beacon is successful with that, but oh my God. That is hilarious that not only did she not kill it, but the Bound Eye was still giving them sight for the creeps to try to take it out, but at the last second, the one more attack wasn't able to happen. So
I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world that Ward isn't doing too much right now,
Yeah.
but, that tells me that she didn't even see it, and so she probably doesn't even remember that it's there.
Yeah.
And it was placed relatively, lately, but... yeah, I don't know.
Like I said, maybe just distracted by the middle lane, because right as she ran towards the middle lane, I mean, that's when the initiation started, so it could have just been a case of, communication happening, and obviously felt that was way more important than maybe even finishing off a ward of sight here. As you said, it really isn't doing a whole lot up here, at least right now, but still, it's kind of just a humorous moment, you can safely say, but in the end, it stays alive, so congrats to that ward of sight. We're having a little bit of a piss break here for both the teams, and hopefully just a couple minutes at the most, and we'll be coming back at you again. If you are just joining in, a quick recap here. This is game number 2 of the DreamHoN Summer Championships. This is the winners bracket finals. Right now, Trademark Esports, as you can see on your screen, it's up 1-0. Yes, that is right. Complexity coming into this match with a 22-game win streak, at least in the DreamHoN Summer Championships, all throughout the initial phase and the group stages, and even this playoff stage. But they lost their first match there in game 1, and it was very well played by Trademark Esports. And now here in game 2, it's been a game of back and forth, really, and granted, right now, Complexity, at least stats-wise, has some advantages, but Trademark Esports definitely still in this game here in game number 2, and it really is going to come down to positioning and great pickoffs here, really, in game number 2. So that's kind of a quick recap there if you are just tuning in to honcast.com. Tell your friends, by the way. I know we're getting more and more viewers as the days progress, and hopefully keep that growing.
Yeah, and if you look at the experience lead, I kept thinking that was the gold lead for some reason, but that is an 11K experience lead, only 3K in gold. It just really shows you just how farmed this Armadon is, sitting at 475 gold per minute. And actually, Armadon is going for a puzzle box. Can't say I saw this coming. It is only rank 1 at the moment, but puzzle box.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really feel like you could finishing that demonic is much more important right now than a puzzle box. I don't know.
I will say this much. I still agree with you. I think demonic breastplate definitely would be the better choice. But now, when it comes to puzzle box, obviously it does take a little bit of microing involved as far as using that mana burn effectively and sending the Mauler in and whatnot. But Armadon isn't necessarily the most micro-intensive hero. I mean, all he literally does is spam W and occasionally press that Q on target. So, in that sense, maybe Noob G's just bored. He wants something else to do.
Well, yeah, I would agree with you. He's not the most micro-intensive, but you still have to care about where your movements are. I mean, you pretty much just walk around and press R or W. That's pretty much what you do, but it still matters where you're going. So you still have, while it's very easy, you still have to pay a lot of attention to where you're actually moving. But I think regardless of the micro aspect of it aside, I don't know if I really agree with that. Maybe the item's fine, but I really think you need that demonic. Otherwise, this war beast is going to tear you and your team apart. They could really benefit from that armor boost. Now he does turn his Soul's Bulwark onto positive, so and I think he should have a long time ago, to be honest. I don't know. We'll see how this comes into play. He's going to have this puzzle box level 2 here very, very shortly. He does have the gold for it actually right about now.
Wait, you mean positive as in plus armor?
Yes.
It's actually still negative. That's a bug there on the
bug.
side. Yeah, you have to actually click on him to see.
Well, there you go. I was looking. Yeah, I was looking at the left side. My
so
bad.
You think he needs to change it to plus armor, though?
Yeah, I just think I think his team is really going to benefit from that. Even though it's not that much armor, it's definitely going to help. And while his quills are physical, I think right now it's more important that his team lives, because if his team entirely dies, he's not going to be able to just 1v5 them yet. Especially since he went the Ghost Marchers route, he's not as tanky as most as you see a lot of Armadons become.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he's not going demonic, so he's still not going to be as tanky. He has quite little armor, to be honest. It's only 12 armor. And normally we see Armadons that go for that demonic, and plus the plated greaves, they have something like 28 armor, something like that. So he's not the tankiest here in the world, so he has to worry about his team as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's actually a good point to bring up in the sense that the Legion team, they have a good Outlast potential specifically surrounding this Armadon. And you look at Complexity's lineup, it's a lot about burst damage and cooldowns, really, at the beginning of the fight. I say especially cooldowns because Warbeast, he'll activate that ulti form, and sure, he'll be shredding you apart and chasing you down the ulti form. It only lasts 16 seconds, though, and it is a 40-second cooldown. So there will be a 24-second downtime where he won't have that up, and he will be a lot less efficient in those team fights. And of course, you got the upfront from Moraxis and Pebbles and even Polywog Priest blowing all of his cooldowns. So if you can stay alive through all those cooldowns being used early on, then especially again with that Armadon, you should perhaps have a chance. Now, Fate needs to be careful here, as Moraxis does have a bound die. I don't know if they've known that yet or whatever, but she is really running in here aggressively, and they can definitely see something. They're actually going to catch Bubbles here after the side, and Armadon just going to spam those quills, trying to get the ball while Bubbles just disintegrates right there. Fate is also not going to get picked out, combo by Pebbles, and Armadon is just going to spam those quills in the midst with all the redstone coming out, and now Armadon realizing he's overstaying his welcome big time, going to try to run away. The swap there from Andromeda puts the comment on Glacius, just want to distract him if anything, but Beacon says, get back in there, bitch, chucks him back up, but now he's running the other direction. The Ice Imprisonment will hit, though, and Noob G is very likely going to fall, so really, Trademark Esports, they were just not ready to initiate right there, and that was a case of Complexity saying, I don't care if you're ready, we're ready to go, and they sure were.
Yeah, this kind of scouting with Fade and waiting for the perfect opportunities is not working. I mean, I feel like they need to be much more explosive. They're waiting a little bit too long. Warbeast got his shrunken head off and just went crazy, went nuts. And once he gets that shrunken head off and he ults, you have nothing to do. You just run. You can't do anything about it. And if he's able to get that off before Fade does any kind of initiation, you're looking at a really, really bad team fight.
Yeah, and there we see right there, Token of Life now on Warbeast on top of that. He should have his demonic press, I was going to say, yeah, he purchases it right there. So that's just another item that you're going to have to deal with here if you're Trademark Esports. Man, it is starting to get to a point where if I'm Trademark, it's looking pretty bad here. I mean, they've had several chances in this game, and they even, you can argue they had leads at points, But right now, here, 38 minutes in, they're down by 8,800 gold, 19,000 plus experience disadvantage as well, and it is really showing. I mean, all across the board for complexity, it's actually a very good spread as far as levels are concerned. I mean, when it comes to max level, sure, tdM's able to compete with that, but they have a level 11 Andromeda, level 10 Luna, who are way down there, and you compare that to like your 14 Glacius, your 17 Polywog Priest, 16 Moraxis, so yeah, looking very good in that sense as well. For complexity right now. Do they have 2 bound dies? Yeah, they do. Pebbles has 1, and so does Moraxis, actually, so I believe they picked it up. But
I just really don't understand this puzzle box pickup. I mean, I'm trying to logically think about it, and it's like, who are you going to place on is going to be effective? I mean,
yeah.
The War Beast, he doesn't really need, once he pops his stuff, he doesn't need mana. Pebbles, once he jumps in combos, he's pretty much done everything he needs to do. He can just auto-attack, and you obviously don't need mana for that. Moraxis has a Hellflower, so the mana burning is not going to do that much. And the minions just don't do enough damage this late in the game. I don't see any logical reason.
If you needed mana, you go Frostfield play. You don't go Puzzle Box.
Exactly.
Especially, again, we keep saying he really isn't that tanky when it comes to armor. As he's, again, 13.42, not bad, but for a hero that's really, you're really focusing on him being this big tank in the midst of a fight that just is unkillable. He doesn't have a whole lot of armor when you put it that way. He did finish level 3 puzzle box right there, so at least he has a full version of it now, and it will be the best use of it, but still, you definitely can safely question that. Now, Hellflower is actually very close to being finished here on Fate as well, and that will definitely be a good pickup for Trademark Esports, of course, as I believe Bubble's also attempting to work on one of his own. Still a little bit ways off, but so perhaps really for Trademark Esports right now, it's a case of we need to get these Hellflowers before we try to make something happen, then go for it all. But still, even with those Hellflowers, kind of feel like complexity. I mean, they just have some great jump potential, and overall just so much damage. Because something we really haven't talked about either is the Battle Cry from Warbeast, and how powerful that is for the team in those fights especially.
Yeah, the Battle Cry does add quite a bit of damage. I think the biggest thing with this lineup that they have, and is just the fact that they're able to jump in, and all of their burst spells have relatively low cooldown, except for like maybe the Polywog words. But that's not even that important. What's important is
Armadon.
Pebbles. Oh, Armadon is jumping in. He's got his puzzle box actually on B-Kid. Does drain quite a lot of mana, but B-Kid uses a stun, and he will just kind of walk away. Armadon's still pursuing, though. The stun coming out from Fade, but the Shrunken Head popped, just perfect timing by B-Kid. I'll let you take over, Breaky. This is getting kind of crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say, Armadon walked in right there almost as if they didn't have a bound eye, but they definitely did. As we said earlier, they have 2, in fact, but still, he was able to get the jump, so it actually ended up working out pretty well for Noob G right there, but not able to get any kills out of it. Pebbles, of course, falls back to the well, and he's going to just gladly return all that mana. So that's why just off the bat I was like, Armadon, what are you doing? I mean, you know for a fact at least they have 1 bound eye just charging in right there, but because he had an invisibility rune, so that's why he was so aggressive. But in the end, again, nothing really happening, so
yeah,
teams fall back.
That was kind of funny. Now, if anything can salvage a win here for this tdM side, is this? I feel like the Hellflower pickup is a step in the right direction. Getting pickoffs right there with Hellflower is very important. Armadon's standing very far up, but like we talked about, he's really not that tanky. He has 8 armor right now. Once that once the demonic breastplate is actually applied to him, that aura, he has 8 armor.
And they say, you want to threaten us being tanky? We don't think you're tanky enough. Out comes the swap from Andromeda. Andromeda, of course, falls right away. The Quills are being spammed by Armadon once again. But look at the Hellborn team. They're in full control of this fight right now. Luna just running away with the Deja Vu. She actually may have juked right there a little bit, but Armadon gets caught in the background. The vote C comes through, and that is going to do it. Trademark Esports loses Game 2 to Complexity. And as a result, we are going to a 3rd and final game, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. I mean, you can definitely debate some questionable decision-making there from Trademark Esports, whether it came to initiation or just item pickups, especially that puzzle box and Armadon. But hey, Complexity, once again, they did play that very patient, but they were waiting for the right moments. And Chessie on Warbeast was able to pull it through for the team as well. So well played there by Complexity.
Yeah, well played overall. I was trying to mention that the whole strategy that they have with Warbeast, it's a very, to be honest, it's a very, very short cooldown as far as it lasts 16 seconds. You mentioned the 40-second cooldown at level 16. But yeah, that time frame in there between is basically like a 24-second cooldown. And it's really, really strong. You can constantly use your ultimate, does so much damage. And then, Pebbles combo, it comes up relatively quickly as well. Same thing with Moraxis. So they're able to use a lot in the fights over and over. That's very, very good for them. Well played. Again, I still think that these concede votes are coming out way too soon.
Yeah.
I don't even think Iraq's was pushed in either of these series before concede vote coming out. So, and that's honestly the hardest thing about. I could be wrong. I think maybe it was the Iraqs in the first game. Either way, I think that these concede votes are a little bit too hasty. The hardest part about winning the game is actually pushing up into the base, and that hasn't really been happening. But I do feel the frustration. I mean, granted, Complexity was probably going to win the game no matter what anyway at that point, but still, I feel like we were in the winners bracket finals. Might as well try out just a little bit harder, but we'll see. Overall, though, well played by
I
Complexity.
agree with you. I mean, it seems like lately, these last couple of days, we've had some very hasty concede votes, but hey, it is a team's decisions in the end, but still Complexity very deserving of that win. And guys, the good news again, we're going to a third and final game now. Real quickly, I do have an update on other scores. Actually, it's Gosu defeated Vitriolic 2-0 in the losers bracket. So Vitriolic is out of it. It's Gosu's moving on. And they're going to play the winner of TT Esports versus Pikachu. And that series is actually TT Esports is currently up 1-0 over Pikachu. Apparently it's about an 80-minute game there. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Once again, we're having some crazy games here as the tournament goes on. So WTF, apparently, I'm actually just getting informed. He actually had about 17,000 gold pulled up at one point.
What?
Which... If that's actually true, that is absolutely ridiculous.
What?
17,000
What
gold.
hero was he playing?
Yeah, if you're going to check that real quickly and see.
Hold on, what hero was he playing?
Anyways, guys, we're focused on this series here. Complexity versus Trademark Esports. Game number 3 coming at you. I'm Breaking CPK. Joining me is Charles Menor. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this very quick break, guys.